everyone. Welcome back to Story Time. This might be a little bit awkward because this is a recording, and it was 2 times for most of it, but it might be a little bit slow, so bear with me. But I thought it was a fun game, so I still wanted to put it out there, but I didn't want to sit there for like 12 minutes while I played. So enjoy. But welcome back to Story Time. And I was talking to my sister the other day, as in literally yesterday, and she put a label on me called anxious, the anxious attachment type. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's like, are you anxious? Are you secure? I know there's another one out there, but I don't really remember. And I've never been a big fan of putting labels on things that were like personality or love related. Like, I don't know if people have like ever like doom scrolled Instagram reels and you got all the like, oh, what type of like what dog is your boyfriend, or like here's your daily horoscope or your Chinese zodiac. But there's so many things out there that are trying to tell and identify who you're supposed to be before you actually become someone, and it always felt so limiting and also arbitrary, right? It's like, how is the month that I'm born in supposed to dictate anything about who I am as a person? And the most correlative evidence has to do with the placement of your personal events and celebration and slash or your name within society's context, right? So if you had a summer birthday, maybe you had to be more deliberate in how you brought people together. Like, your birthdays might have felt more like actually bringing people together from periods of inactivity because you weren't in school versus other people. Or like your handwriting, for example. If you have very big handwriting, it might mean that you expect yourself to achieve big things, to become somebody someday. Or if you have very small handwriting, you might be very efficient or environmental conscious, right? There's just this correlative evidence, this very broad idea that somewhere someone out there is just attached to these thoughts, and it represents themselves in their day-to-day life. And people seem to be very fond of using birthdays and as identification. I know I am actually particularly fond of the Chinese zodiac because I get to bully my sister for it because she complains a lot and she's a goat. So, or a ram, whatever you want to say. But yeah, and it's more about, I don't like people telling me how my life is supposed to be. I don't think anybody likes when somebody tells them to do something or tells them how to live or who they're supposed to be. It feels very limiting. Like, it's something which feels like it takes away from your freedom, which is a very American thing to want to maintain at all times. But getting besides the point, I saw that anxious label, and it was just a personal value of mine that I just couldn't really get behind avoiding. I'm a big fan of preventative action. It might be partly because of my major, but just growing up, I was naturally very anxious. I didn't like when things didn't have clearly defined like boundaries. And I'll probably going to talk about it later, where it's like you can learn more about someone from a more open-ended question, but you might get more out of somebody, which is productive to what you actually wanted to hear if you prompt them a little bit and make it a little bit more specific. But for me, you need to be able to actually live with the consequences of your own actions. And that usually meant clearly defining what the potential consequences were and what you could live with, right? It's like, I get in my car and I am comfortable with the idea that I may die anytime I get in my car. Of course, I have safety features in there, and I like driving when I'm, sleep at night, and I don't want to die. I'm actively trying to prevent my death. But the risk associated with driving that I pay for the convenience of driving is something that I can live with. And that's something in which you apply to relationships as well. It's like they are exploratory in nature. You are in a relationship to see if something works for you, if you can make hopefully a lifelong partner out of someone, or if they can continue to bring you happiness, right? Like, if you have a favorite food, has it been your favorite food forever? Like, how long does that really last. You don't know. You just keep on eating food until something else comes better, or if you just like that food forever, and maybe there was a better food out there, but you just never got the chance to experience it. You just don't know. You just eat your food. And that's exactly what relationships are to me, which I feel it might be very cynical, but yeah, you try it, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe even in the bad moments you want to believe that it will become good, and you take that risk, and that's a completely normal thing to do, and that's something that I can live with. But what my most recent relationship taught me is that when the times get tough, I start going through scenarios in my head, and you think, and you think, and you think, and that's when you start to wonder, where do you draw the line of when you're looking so desperately searching for what you should be doing, or if you're actually wondering intuitively if what you're doing and what you're asking and what you're worried about actually feels right to you. And unfortunately, going back to Chinese zodiac, year of the dog, if I personally believe that there's a lot of that what I should be doing is what feels right. And that is what has, you know, guided my life so far. Like, my coach endorsed my behavior. I'm like, I felt good about it. You know, if what I did actively supported myself and my endeavors and resulted in positive change, I also felt good about it. So I've always had this just very strong sentiment that if something was right, objectively, or if something supported my goals, then I would feel good about it. I very much lacked this arbitrage feeling of, you know, oh, it feels so wrong, but it's so right. It's just like, no, I very much normalize the behavior and the life that I want to see for myself, you know? And I've never particularly seen that as a very crazy thing. And then neither have I seen, like, actually, like, thinking about my problems or potential scenarios that I do or do not want to see, because I'm like, I feel like there's only one chance or one opportunity anytime I get into a fight or things are rocky, and I want to play things right. I want to do it right the first time. You know, you do all that training and all that effort because you don't want to mess things up. You want to, once you get into something, you want it to be easy. You want things to come naturally to you. And maybe that's the athlete in me. But yeah, it's just very much was an intentional effort for me to navigate conflict in my relationships. And it really does make you wonder if I was doing things out of, like, the good of my heart, you know, like if it really was something that I meant, or if it was something that I deliberated and practiced over and over again, and I was more gaming the relationship. And I honestly couldn't really tell you, but it's what felt right for me at the time. I like to do good by people. I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret. And I'll never know until I do it, but if I'm going to do it, I want to at least try to do a good job. And something that I thought about. But then that brings me to this general idea of anxiety, like, as an idea. Words, it's the English. It comes and goes. But when reflecting on that relationship, my most recent one, this girl, she would go out to parties, and, you know, she would have a good time, and I would tell myself, I'm like, I am not really profiling her. Like, I am thinking about things, and I'm worried about these things because I have a reason to be worried about them. Like, a lot of people get very jealous if their partner goes out and they have fun without them, or if they put themselves in a situation where typically people would, you know, like, meet new people. Like, generally you meet new people at a club. If you go to a party, you're there to socialize, but a lot of people know these as, like, experiences to, like, meet people romantically. And that context for me, even if you go with people as a group, by the way, and that context for me was enough for me to at least feel the pressure of, you know, you're there not necessarily to cheat on me or get into something in which I would personally be against, but you're still are there. It doesn't excuse the action, and I just have to trust you. And leaving the relationship, she never did end up cheating on me or doing anything that directly violated my trust. Like, she would always ask and be upfront and be like, would you be okay with me going to this event? And I would just say no. I'd be like, you know, I'm not gonna break up for you with you for this, but it doesn't make me happy. Like, it doesn't help me sleep at night. And she never really understood why I felt that anxiety or that pressure, because she wanted her actions to be uniquely her own, and that was just a difference in perspective that we could never bridge. And I continued to cast judgment on her and pressure because, well, I couldn't bring myself to understand what she was doing. And to her, she didn't need a reason to go out with her friends and have fun and dress up. But to me, I'm like, you are making yourself more available to be attractive to the opposite sex. And it doesn't mean that you want an opportunity to happen to you, but that means that you are leaving the opportunity open. And it would. And because that supported my anxieties, my fears, I've had like brief stints where I'd be worried about her cheating on me because, well, the opportunity was very much there. I try my hardest to not be a particularly controlling person, even if I am very judgmental. And sure, that is because I hold myself to a high standard, but I also want you to live your own life and be your own person. And that's why I struggle to push myself onto somebody else and in that way where I'm telling them what to do. I'm like, yes, it does matter that you are your own person and that you make your own decisions and you do your own things, but it also matters to me that you have your autonomy. And I try to be as upfront with that as I can. And still, this idea that I don't want to actively make something worse, but maybe my intuition is just not where my heart is. And that's why I feel the need to deliberate myself to that point. And a reason I wanted to make this video was just because I honestly don't really know. And I don't know if the anxious attachment is a problem that I need to solve, or if it is ingrained in my system so hard because if you put out faulty stuff, well, I'm terrible at my job. And it costs money. And that's a risk that you just can't take. And sometimes you just need to know before you actually know. And so many people value that as a skill. And it's the unfortunate truth of it. You need to be good at taking risks. So it's open-ended like that. And that's the journey that I'm currently going down myself. Which is why I put it in story time and it's not a crash out. So something to think about. That's about it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.